The first bit of team news ahead of the weekend's rugby. We've got the Premiership final coming. We've got 4 URC Quarter Finals, and the first of them, and the first rugby of the entire weekend, in fact, is tomorrow night. Munster at home to Ospreys, the first quarter final in the URC. We've got the teams, we've got the weather forecast, got the betting odds, and I'm going to wrap all of it up here with this quick little preview. I'm Tim, this is Egg Chasers. If you appreciate the content on the channel, give the video a thumbs up. That really helps. It doesn't cost you anything, doesn't take you any time. Helps me spread the word. So the Munster lineup then, what's the headline? Well, I was looking at the back row because Gavin Coombs has been brilliant all season, and he, along with John Hodnett and Tom Ahern, were fantastic off the bench last week. Hodnett and Coombs have got their starting berth back, with O'Donoghue and Kendellen moving to the bench. Tom Ahern injured, unavailable, and that's one of the misses for Munster. Although when you say that, look at that pack, it looks pretty stacked to me. The only other question mark is in the centre. Sean O'Brien's been great in there. He moves from 13 into the 12 jersey because, well, two things. Rory Scannell is out and Antoine Frisch is back. That is a big boost to see Frisch in the back line. Other than that, it's pretty much as you were. And the team largely picks itself. Impact to come off the bench as well. Look at some of the names and the experience. Having Mike Haley, Connor Murray, Ollie Jaeger, Jack O'Donoghue on the bench and others, and yeah, they can feel confident at home. Top seeds against 8th placed Ospreys, who, I mean, there's some proper names in that team, isn't there? Not least the man there who's in the photo staring right down the camera and presumably looking at Warren Gatland saying, "You didn't pick me." He's got a point to prove, got a statement to make. I'm going to pick, by the way, in a second, my combined 23-man squad. Who would you pick if you had access to the entire 23 from Munster and the entire 23 from Ospreys? And it gives you a bit of a sense about where the balance of power lies. I'll get to that in just a second. But it's a really, what jumps off the page at me, really powerful looking midfield for Ospreys. They can cause some issues there. And I think their front row is class as well. Nicky Smith and Dewi Lake in the front row. Williams and Watkin in midfield. They've got some steel where they need it. And then with guys like Jack Morgan and Justin Tipperick, the skipper, they've got a bit of class in the back row as well. I want to see Morgan Morris have a better game than he had last week. He's been great this season, and if he can start motoring, then Ospreys could be in business. So with all that said, if you had access to both of these squads, who would make it into a combined 23? That's what I've gone for. 4 and 4 in the pack. Nicky Smith and Dewi Lake, I think they're great. That's nothing against the Munster options. It's just who I would pick. Other than that, I've gone for the Munster engine room. And I mean, let me ask the question, leave a comment down below. Is there a better second row partnership in World Rugby at club level? I think that's as good as it gets. I mean, they're both close to being in World 15 teams if you were picking it. Obviously, Eben Etzebeth would have something to say about that. There'd be a few others as well. But as a pair, and the balance between the two as well, a proper number 4 in RG Sneeman, and Tide Byrne is just an unreal athlete. So that's as good as it gets in the second row. And it's a massive bun fight in the back row there. Could quite happily have gone with the Munster flankers. Gone with the Ospreys one. In the case of Justin Tipperick, I'm picking slightly on experience and just the fact he does some incredible things. He's not maybe the player he was a few years ago, but he's still got it. And that's going to be a really good battle to watch. And I've picked Jack Morgan over Peter Omani, which pains me. You know how much I love... If you've watched this channel for any length of time, you know how much I love the War God. It wasn't great last week. And that's just nudged the selection towards Jack Morgan for me. Gavin Coombs, fantastic at 8. Delighted he's back in a starting spot. And I should have mentioned him. When I did my URC team of the regular season, I really should have mentioned Gavin Coombs at number 8. He was on my mind. Just missed out on being selected, but I'll give him his props now. He's been brilliant. And look at that back line. I think that tells a story, doesn't it? Ospreys have got a little bit of something up front. Munster have got it behind the pack. And actually, when you look at the way Munster play, yes, they're all about attitude and effort and that collective being better than the sum of the parts. That's what Munster makes them tick. And that's what makes them such a good team. But man for man behind the scrum, I just think they've got more class. Keelan Giles might feel a bit hard done by at 11, but Shane Daly's been brilliant this season. And on the bench, again, Ospreys have got a bit of impact in the front row, but other than that, particularly behind the scrum, I see Munster having the depth and the quality, and I think that is going to tell. For what it's worth, the bookies have Munster as 12-1 on favourites. If you're not familiar with betting, that means you need to put a bet of £12 on, and should Munster win, you win £1. So heavy favourites. The handicap for it as well, the bookies are saying that Munster are going to win by at least 16 points. I definitely see a Munster win, probably by a couple of scores. The bookies are rarely wrong. But you never know. The conditions are going to be decent. It's going to be dry, fair, cool, with a slight breeze. One of the big things for me is how much can Ospreys get to Jack Crowley? If they manage to rough him up a little bit, legally, obviously, then there is a slight concern, because with Joey Carberry not being available, big blow that, then they're down to Tony Butler, who is a relatively inexperienced, untested fly half. Could they juggle their back line away and around in another way? I'm not sure they can, in the way that, say, Leinster can and Ireland have been able to with those utility players. Jack Crowley is such an important man for Munster. With or without him, I think they would be okay, but he's been so important for Munster that Ospreys just need to get to him, rough him up, try and disrupt him, knowing that there's a kid on the bench in his place. And that's where Jack Morgan, Justin Tipperick are going to have a big, big evening for Ospreys. If you're an Ospreys fan, enjoy your trip to Limerick. Good luck. I see Munster rolling on and into the semi-finals in this one. Tell me what you think.